What's a seemingly harmless habit that people really underestimate, but in the long run, it actually causes damage? Staying in unhappy relationships. I once read this on Reddit. Don't cling to a mistake just because you spent a lot of time making it. It applies perfectly to relationships. Staying with someone when you're miserable just drags both of you down. Blasting music in headphones. I used to crank my headphones all the way up every single day. Let's just say my ears are still billing me for it. Avoiding difficult conversations. A lot of people think it's polite to dodge uncomfortable topics, but silence doesn't solve anything. It just lets the problem grow until it explodes. The real skill is learning how to bring up hard subjects appropriately in different situations. Overworking and never taking breaks. Last week, the weather was gorgeous. My husband has Wednesdays off, and on Tuesday he said, "Take tomorrow off, let's go out together." At first I hesitated. Short staff, tons of work, looming deadlines. Normally I'd push through, but then I thought, life's too short. I asked my boss if I could take the day off just because it would be sunny tomorrow. He smiled and said, "Of course." Honestly, best boss ever. Bottling up emotions. Some people avoid conflicts so much that they never say how they truly feel. But over time, those unspoken feelings can explode into anger and hurtful words you'll regret. It might feel like keeping the peace, but in reality, it can cause deep damage to a relationship. Always saying yes. At first, saying yes to everyone seems polite and helpful, but over time, it drains you, makes you resentful, and eventually leads to burnout, often without you even realizing how you got there. Spending too long on the toilet. I used to sit in the bathroom for 30 minutes every day just to get a moment of peace away from my two little kids. Sounds harmless, right? Well, I ended up with a painful, butt glitch, one of the worst experiences of my life. Tried everything. Nothing helped. After a year and a half of suffering, I finally had surgery, and that was even more painful. Couldn't even walk for days. Now my wife and I just talk openly. If one of us needs a break, we switch off. Those 30 minutes of quiet time weren't worth years of pain. Finishing your plate even when you're full. It feels harmless, just a couple more bites, but over time, that habit trains your body to overeat. Eventually, it can lead to weight gain and all the mental struggles that come with it. Overdoing the solo relaxation ritual. Taking a little me time to de-stress is fine, but if you're spending half your days zoning out in fantasy land with your joystick pal, it can seriously mess with your brain and relationships. Moderation matters, even here. Rushing kids. Always hurrying children creates lifelong anxiety. It's even got a name, the rush child syndrome. Parents often don't realize how damaging it is, but the research is clear. Losing fishing lures. Every time you lose one, you're leaving plastic lines behind that tangle wildlife and sit in the water for decades. Dive into a popular fishing spot and it literally looks like an underwater junkyard. Procrastination. Just train yourself to tackle tasks immediately. I say this as someone with ADHD who used to think the only way to get anything done was to wait until the last possible moment. Habits are powerful. They make you act before you even realize you're acting. Negative self-talk. For those struggling with it, here's a mindset shift. The opposite of negative self-talk isn't always positive. Sometimes it's just refusing to judge yourself. Instead of thinking, "I did this wrong, therefore I'm a bad person," think, "I did this wrong, next time I'll do it differently." Self-education can change a lot. Studies show that while harsh self-talk may improve short-term results, it damages long-term brain function. If you feel shame about being lazy, check for ADHD. Classic negative self-talk. If I can do it, I must, otherwise I'm a loser. A wise woman once said, "A lazy person enjoys doing nothing. Feeling guilty about not doing something, that's executive function, not laziness." People-pleasing. If your top priority is making sure everyone else is comfortable, even at the expense of your own well-being, it's going to boomerang back at you. Eventually, you'll start feeling resentment, thinking that others aren't trying as hard as you are. But in reality, you just overdid it yourself. Take care of yourself first, otherwise you won't really be able to care for others. Learn to set and maintain healthy boundaries as early as possible. I've realized that you can get so used to pleasing others that you lose touch with what you actually want. Whether it's choosing a restaurant or making career and family decisions, you end up on autopilot. I once heard a phrase, can't recall the author. We teach people how to treat us. That's such a good reminder, especially when meeting new people. Sometimes the best way to handle someone is to reflect back how they treat others. Holding it in, literally. Sometimes people are so busy with work that they don't even take bathroom breaks. I've treated way too many patients with constipation caused by this exact behavior, and it often leads to much more serious issues. And please, let kids use the bathroom. I had patients as young as 9 to 15 years old with bowel problems, all because they were holding it in for too long. It's a nightmare for a child. As a teacher, you quickly learn how important bathroom breaks are. Sadly, some teachers ignore obvious signs. For example, not realizing a girl just started her period. Mistakes like that can stay with a kid for life. Skipping sunscreen. I live in Spain and wow, people here age in fast forward. Seeing a 30-year-old woman who already looks like a crumpled copper coin is pretty normal. Sunscreen isn't optional, it's survival. Expecting people to treat you the same way you treat them. This was my biggest weakness. I gave everything to the people I cared about, only to feel worthless when they didn't even want to hang out with me. Not everyone operates on the same give and take level. Learning that saved me a lot of pain. Staying around toxic people just because they're family. Sharing DNA isn't a good enough reason to keep people in your life if they're toxic. Sometimes the healthiest boundary is distance, even if it's with relatives. Sleep deprivation. I had chronic sleep debt for years. At some point, you stop noticing it, like walking around half dead. It wrecks your health, mood, and brain function. I remember when school started late a few times during winter. Just 2 extra hours of sleep, and people on the bus said I seemed like a completely different person. Suddenly, I was patient and kind. They didn't even recognize me. Skipping stretching. You should stretch every day. Doesn't have to be a full yoga class. Just 30 seconds for each muscle group throughout the day. Waiting for your toast? Stretch your chest and shoulders. Standing around? Open up your stance. Do something. That tiny bit of good pain now saves you from major pain later. Neglecting water. I get migraines, and while water doesn't cure them, staying hydrated helps a lot long term. Doctors say that if migraines aren't genetic, they often start with dehydration and only get worse from there. Asking ChatGPT a million questions. Sure, it's fun, but don't fool yourself into thinking the bot is your new bestie. Yes, I see the irony of writing this here. The act of noticing your thoughts. We can't control thoughts directly, but we can notice them and choose how to react. James Clear in Atomic Habits writes, "Every action, every decision is a vote for the type of person you want to become. Changes don't happen instantly, but if you start voting differently, results will exceed your expectations. Negative self-talk isn't effective for learning." Daniel Kahneman in Thinking Fast of Slow points out the regression to the mean. If a student usually scores a 4/5 and suddenly gets a 3/5, next time they'll likely return to 4/5, regardless of scolding or praise. Same with any unusual outcome. So instead of punishing yourself for failure, think, this wasn't my style, next time I'll do better. And when you succeed, good job, next time might not be as perfect, but it's still a step forward. Many small steps like this change your whole path over time. Minimum credit card payments. Only paying the minimum balance might feel safe, but the interest is basically sneak attacking your wallet. Convincing my wife to pay extra on the mortgage has been, let's just say, an uphill battle. But here's the trick. If you make 13 payments a year instead of 12, that extra one going fully toward the principal, a 30-year mortgage can shrink to around 18 years. Doom scrolling. Constant doom scrolling absolutely fries your brain. Social media gives you tiny dopamine hits that rob you of joy from real-life experiences, shrink your attention span, and trick you into thinking everyone else's life is way better than yours. Over time, that can spiral into anxiety and depression, especially if you rarely interact with people in real life and instead just talk to random internet goblins all day. Sometimes the cure is as simple as leaving the screen and actually meeting someone face-to-face. Only seeing a doctor when things are bad. Waiting until a health problem gets really bad before seeing a doctor is like ignoring a smoke alarm until the whole house is on fire. You miss the chance to catch serious illnesses early, and sometimes that makes all the difference. Sweeping problems under the rug. Some people avoid confrontation in the name of peace, but the truth is, peace doesn't come from silence. It just builds a mountain of resentment. Eventually, that pile either poisons the relationship with hidden toxicity or it kills it with indifference. And when someone finally tries to address the problem, they look like the one who can't let things go. Please learn how to talk constructively about hard things. Financial illiteracy. Living without a budget, always on credit. It's like playing life on hard mode without reading the rules first. Everyone knows it's bad, but when adulthood actually hits, so many people find themselves completely unprepared. Hot water with lemon every day? A friend of mine went to the dentist and found out that years of this so-called healthy habit had basically erased her enamel. Turns out even wellness hacks can backfire. Consistently eating junk. Bad food doesn't just mess with your waistline or blood work. It also fuels depression, anxiety, sleep issues, weakens your immune system, and more. Healthy eating isn't some Instagram trend. It's one of the smartest investments you can make. Thanks for reading. Share in the comments, which seemingly harmless habit do you think people underestimate but actually harms them in the long run? Don't forget to check out our other posts. See you next time.